China's going bust. Will the altcoins go boom? Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing. What is going on, everybody? I got Keeper today here working.
Woo! Put me to work. I'm not on vacation. Still got the tank top and some, trunks on down here because I got to go to swim classes in a little bit. Let's go Monday.
What's
Day,
going
bro.
on, man?
What's good? I'm excited about the show today, bro. What do you got before we bring the people on? What do we got planned today?
Dude, we got a lot of things going on. Obviously, we're going to be covering the altcoins, but we got information coming out from China and Hong Kong. They might be in trouble. Their economy might be spreading some contagion. And I'm not talking about the fog around the world. I'm talking about economical, financial situations, right? We've got OnlyFans buying up Ethereum, and not any short change. They're buying big money, right? They're going to be the BlackRock of Ethereum. Who knows?
Can I pause you real quick? If OnlyFans is taking ETH, bro, we need to have a discussion after the show. Okay. So just want to throw that out there. Okay.
Oh man, and to wrap up the news, we got Ripple on-demand liquidity finally going live in India. Instant surge to $5 is being called by the XRP maxis. We will see that today on the charts if there's any technical reason for that $5 to happen. So no longer gonna make them wait anymore. We got Evan Aldo. What's going on, man? How you been?
Good, man. Great to be on. Thanks so much.
Good to have you, dude. And finally, but not last, we got CVO. What's going on, dude?
Not too much, gentlemen. Pleasure to be here as always.
Dude, it's always great to have these shows and have the conversations that people want to know. What's going up, it's going down, what's happening, why is it happening, right? Is it because China's gonna go bust? Who knows? We're gonna figure it out tonight. Well, I should say this afternoon. So, guys, if you haven't smashed those likes, and check out the pinned message in the chat. Danger Close Alpha podcast is officially live. We got a few clips in there. If you guys didn't catch the entire episode yesterday, they will be happening every single Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time for the foreseeable future.
We went ham yesterday, bro. I look forward to doing the same thing this Sunday. So if you guys aren't watching already, make sure to do that. We definitely had some fun with it and brought some really good information. What did we go, like 2 hours yesterday?
Yeah, dude. Yesterday we went 2 hours. Well, way longer than expected, but it was a good conversation.
Yeah. Definitely was. And look to see some of the people that you guys see on the show coming on as well. Little Birdie told me there might be some other people coming on. Maybe some people close to the stream right now. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm excited to have guests and have these conversations that, we can't have here. It's fun to talk about something else that's not just crypto all the time and just kind of be able to have some fun. Let's have a quick little market overwatch, see how the market's doing. I mean, the market's been absolutely crawling sideways since yesterday. Let me do a quick little refresh here. We are still at 1.05 trillion. Why did my night mode go away? I don't understand why.
Oh, my eyes. There we go.
Yeah. Bitcoin's up nothing. Literally nothing. Still at 26,139. Ethereum 1651. Nothing is literally moving. Everything is sideways. In the top 10, literally nothing is even up 0.5%. Like it's ridiculous. Let me see what the top 24-hour gainer is. Curve. 5%. That's how much movement we've had. See, the biggest loss, 6%. Sui. Sounds like sushi. I don't know. The market's crazy, man. Market's not doing anything right now. But let's just start off with what's happening in Hong Kong. Right. So Hong Kong, they've been having an issue with Evergrande. Evergrande kind of came up during last year as well. They went on a 17-month hiatus from being traded on the stock market, came back onto the stock market, complete collapse, right? They're down 87%. Is
that all? That sounds like a normal day in crypto, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Normal day in crypto, but not in China. Let me tell you. So they're freaking out. People are talking about, being a contagion if their GDP, I think, has been growing at least 6% every single year for the last 15 years. So with their markets slowing down, Fed rates here are continuously going up, is that going to put China into a really bad position where they might have to start printing money and eventually break China's economy? And could they flee to Bitcoin? Because at the same time, right now that this is happening, they decided to finally let retail investors trade on their exchange that they released from Hong Kong, that I believe is called what you call it here. It's called Hashkey. Hashkey is their exchange. So are they going to be fleeing to crypto? Do you guys see this as a good thing or a bad thing? China's collapse and maybe fleeing to Bitcoin. Good thing or bad thing for crypto? Are we going to see pumps? Are we going to see dumps? CVO, why don't we start with you?
CVO.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I'm freezing out over here, I think. I was like looking at all of you guys. I was like, who about to ask?
CVO is like, I plead the fifth. I'm just going to sit here and look
for
at
me,
you.
man, I take the news with a grain of salt. You know, it's as often as we get as China's banning crypto or whatever's going on. You know, you just said it before that literally Evergrande or Evergrande was in the news last, or actually it was 2021 September. You know, and look at where we are now, getting in that September timeframe once again. Good, bad, you know, we can speculate. I don't think it's necessarily going to have the effect, you know, any effect, honestly. I think that, you know, the markets are going to trend lower a little bit, as I think everybody can assume at that point. When we get a push up first is the question, but the news is always going to be correlated as far as, you know, giving everybody the reasoning. But to me, I don't pay too much attention to the news, so I might be a bad questioneer.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, you just don't see it as it actually doing anything to the market. You're not worried about what China's happening. Evan, and then I'll get Keeper's take on it too. But Evan, are you worried about what was happening over in China?
I mean, I personally not, but you know, in terms of what this would do for crypto, I'm going to sound like I'm kind of a boomer here. I mean, China, obviously, you know, we saw that news article. I don't know if you guys saw it a few weeks ago. Somebody got like almost a year in prison in China for using Tether. So there's still enough fear, you know, with crypto in China. And I still think we're not in the place that, you know, it's weird. Like some people, you know, will say, oh, no, crypto, you know, it's all a joke. It's really legal. You could use it. Nothing's going to happen. And they said examples of certain people. So I don't think we're there quite yet. And I'm obviously more of a charts guy and I look at more history. And what I would look at as history is more that Bitcoin would come down more towards the end of this year, potentially into early next year, and then have a rebound into the halvening, you know, come April, and then we start the next bull cycle like that. So maybe this news has a macro effect and is good, you know, fuels crypto into what we've normally seen, a bullish 2024 and then a bullish 2025, where hopefully we could start, you know, a real new bull run and potentially make new all-time highs. But for the more short term, I kind of like how the charts look on. I'm going to sound like Peter Schiff here, but I kind of like how the charts look a little bit more on gold and silver right now. And then you look at the BRICS, they're trying to start the gold-backed currency. I would say, you know, if I had a bet for the short term next couple months, I think gold and silver may see more of a resurge based on these things rather than Bitcoin right now. But I'm just going on the charts. I could be wrong, but I think on the macro, it's going to be really good for Bitcoin. So that's ultimately what I would get out of this. You know, we're seeing a lot of weaknesses with China's economy, but I wouldn't bet too much against them, you know, in terms of the next few years. I mean, if we go into a recession, I think it's going to definitely hit China harder, but the way they're going, you know, the trend and the patterns in their GDP, I think, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, this Evergrande thing isn't going to seem like that big a deal.
Yeah, man, it's very possible that, you know, the Evergrande thing just blows on by. Nothing really big happens from it. I mean, it could be a good thing for crypto, right? They could see, we kind of talked about it before, that they're kind of in trouble and they see that, you know, crypto is a good way to make money, and they start jumping over onto the crypto bandwagon, pumping out Bitcoin, maybe mining Bitcoin again, you know, maybe, who knows? And then you see that big boom, right? Like you guys said, they've banned it, unbanned it, banned it, unbanned it. They could unban it again at any moment and say, hey, we're all in this time because our economy is in trouble. And that would be a bullish thing for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But Keeper, are you worried about China?
Yeah, I have a little bit different take. First of all, let me jump into the chat because Green Day Profits first in the house said, smash the like on the way in, guys. Want to remind everybody, do your thing. Glad that you're here. We got Karen in the house for sophisticated dirt bag fly fishing. I always love that name. And OC Pet Doctor. Thank you guys for being here as always. And make sure to check out the pinned tweet or the pinned tweet, like we're on X right now. The pinned comment. Make sure you guys go over there and sub. We're giving away a t-shirt at 50 subs, and we're like, what, 17-ish people away from there, something like that. So it's Danger Close Alpha if you guys don't know here on YouTube. But so I have a little bit different take. I think mine's more simple, though. The reality is in the past, as we've seen huge economic factors hit other countries that coincide with what's happening in the United States, what happens? Well, we see the stock market start to tumble over here, and unfortunately, the crypto markets have still been tied to the stock market. So I don't think initially it's going to do anything except for just hurt overall markets, which ends up, hurting the crypto markets. And then on top, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but on top of that, September is a historically bearish month. So there's like all of these things kind of colliding that I think are going to push us lower. The reality is this is a massive, massive real estate institution. I used to not understand how that could affect us directly, but there's so much money intertwined in all of these different investments and how it got there. Like, for instance, like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, like they invest all over the place, right? And when they get hit, they take a hit. You have investors that are over here in the United States that are then taking a hit off of that. There's just it also kind of puts people not at ease when you have one of, if not the largest real estate institutions in the world effectively going bankrupt. That's a scary thing for people, and they realize like, whoa, what are we going to do? On the other hand, I do like what you're saying, Crusader. Could they possibly pivot towards crypto? Maybe. China's been so authoritarianistic, you know what I mean, that I feel like I have a hard time making that leap. But money. It does come down to money, and if maybe Russia jumps on board with it, and the BRICS nations decide, hey, we're going to hold a small reserve in something like Bitcoin, then maybe the conversation happens. So I don't know. We'll find out. But I think short term is going to be just bad for market.
There's definitely an interest for crypto in the BRICS nations, right? They're trying to find alternative currencies one way or another, whether it's their own local currencies. We're going to be covering the whole XRP, Ripple, on liquidity demand, Fugazi thing. Binance just recently stated that they're exploring the options of exiting from Russia. So Russia's feeling kind of tight there. Also been some news where...
could that be virtue signaling of some sort?
Virtue signaling of what?
Just basically like, hey, we stand with Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, FTX was doing it. You know what I mean? Like, hey.
FTX was doing a lot of things.
They were. They were
doing a lot of questionable things. But that threw me off topic. I forgot what I was going to say about Russia. Oh, yes. The fifth largest Bitcoin wallet, apparently, it is rumored that the same guy we just spoke about yesterday, the ex-leader of
Yevgeny Pritsev, or however you say his name?
Bergovich,
Yevgeny Bergovich or something like that? Yeah.
Whatever his name was. Can't pronounce it. I don't speak Russian. Was apparently tied to contained the fifth largest Bitcoin wallet. Is that true? We don't know. If it is, that's a lot of locked up Bitcoin that nobody's going to probably ever get access to again.
I was about to say, what if the hardware wallet was on the helicopter? Now, right? Just saying, we got some more Bitcoin that just, hey, off the balance sheet, baby. Supply and demand. Let's go. We're going to see a pump.
Yeah, that's like a pre-happening event right there. If, you know what I mean? So let's jump into the charts. September doesn't look bullish, right? Historically has been a very bearish time. I have a little image here I want to share with you guys, and then we'll jump into the charts. We can start off with Bitcoin. We can start off with whatever altcoin of your choice. But as you guys see here, right, it's no bueno for September. September right here, just straight red every single year, except for a few years earlier on that we had some green. But overall, massive red throughout all of September. So are you guys seeing anything positive for Bitcoin? If you guys want to start with Bitcoin, or you guys want to start with a different altcoin, that's fine. Are you guys seeing anything bullish for September specifically? CVO, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I would say there's a half bullish thing, like maybe half the month, and then we end the month still in the red. So I'll go ahead and share this real quick. I did just kind of want to walk through the last price action too that we were at, just to kind of go over once again, like news wise and all. Like, you know, I really don't get involved with it because it makes people get emotional, right? So so the last 2-3 weeks, I think, that I've been on here, I think it was with Wendy as well, right? We were looking at this price action here. I highlighted this one range, which there's a box area below it, obviously, which was the targets. If you were to kind of like outline this range here, right, this is the region overall. So was looking for a return or tracing back to these regions, had a gold pocket from the local low to the high. There was also a monthly level that came in here. You see the volume kind of pick back up as far as there was like no volume on the way up. So filling that in was definitely on the cards. You know, everybody was really expecting a bounce at this area. We just didn't get it. The targets remained for me down here. We had the naked point of control for June or from June back at like 26.5. And then this boxed area that I have highlighted here all the way down, it was like 25.9 was the region I was looking for, right? So barring a full rotation of the whole range. But what we had here is you had the push up, come up, you took the highs back into the range. This move right here was actually a back test of the August pivot, or a test of the August pivot. So that was the average of price from last month generated for this one. So that was a nice statistical target, comes in right at the high of the range, got the back test, basically just come up and took stops out for late or early shorters, right? So anybody that was good and in short positions right here. Stop loss was probably right above that wick. Take it all out. And then from there, obviously we know we went and made the move down, right? So now we are in this region here. And for me, I do expect lower, but I very much am anticipating, you know, potential for like a short, I don't want to use the term short squeeze, but a move back up to, you know, this region is definitely in the cards for me. You know, there's things I'll be looking and paying attention for. One is really kind of getting back above this area, this 26.5 region, 27. But I can see the, you know, the Bitcoin pushing higher. We might get a little dip below hand first, but getting a push up, I think, is in the cards, not coming up and taking out this high. There is still that monthly level all the way back up here. Not sure if we come up and tag it or not, but this was an area I was looking for when we were up here, up at 30,500. And then after that, and I say after that, you know, either way, we either break down from here or we get that push up first is what you're looking for, right? So you kind of have to be prepared for either scenario. And then down below us is obviously you got that naked point of control down around 23,000, 22.5 to 23K is the next big zone for me over the next couple. You know, if we really just had this nasty nuke of a September, that's what I'd be looking for. And then, you know, obviously you got the CME gap down at 20K, and then just clearing all this off. Like, I'm going to take a look at the most simple thing. And usually I wouldn't say, like, I'm not going to, you know, I wouldn't be going on this alone. But one of the most simple things out there that, you know, people will point out or look for, and it's almost too easy, right, is that head and shoulders. And the measured move of that would take you down right into 20K. So that's not necessarily what I'm looking at, like straight up by any means. I'm using it as a little bit of confluence potentially, but you did get that breakdown. There is correlation between those regions. But yeah, 20 to 23K. And 23 is the one I really wouldn't overlook. But yeah, I think that that's where we ultimately are heading. The bounce back to 30K though is the one that I'm, you know, looking for potentially, right? So when you ask if September is going to be red, you know, that has a few different meanings because we could very well, you know, move up over the next 2 weeks, only to not come up and do anything, you know, material, just come up and make a new lower high and then continue on and close the month, you know, down at like 24K, 25K, right where we are, whatever. So that's how I'd be looking at it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, dude, that makes perfect sense. I mean, massive drops though. That 23,000 is a massive drop. I mean, where would the altcoins be at that point?
That would hurt for sure.
Or even at 20, like you said, with the trend break of the head and shoulders, that'd be pretty hard. Ed, how do you feel about the altcoins right now? If that were to play out, do you kind of concur with CVO with what he's seeing, or do you see something different?
Yeah, I like a lot of what CVO just said. Let me show you my chart here. I mean, what would kind of I'll show you for example, like Solana. This is a good example of what could happen if we do come back down to that was low 20s area. I mean, we got the blood diamond on the 2 week on market cipher for the first time ever on Solana. And I mean, it's bad, but it's not like that bad. I mean, it still would only be like if you were to retest, close to these lows, a 50% correction. I mean, obviously, people don't like a 50% correction, but that's a lot better than a 94% correction from the all-time high. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you believe in something like Solana, Matic, a lot of us like Cardano, a lot of us like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. But ultimately, I do think these could bleed quite a bit, against Bitcoin. If you look at, for example, like Solana Bitcoin right here, getting a red Heikin-Ashi candle on the 2 week, money flow is deep, nothing looking too good here. But on the bright side, I mean, this could be a kind of a triple bottom, another 35% drop down against Bitcoin. Could be even lower if things get really bad, maybe 50 to 60% down right here. But ultimately, the place I would say to kind of look at let me just go back to the Solana chart real quick here. The place I would be looking at to really get in is when these Heikin-Ashi candles start kind of turning green again. So we come down into October, November, then you get kind of a bullish div, potentially the next kind of trigger wave on the green right here. And that would potentially, start to bring you up. For example, on Solana, if we look at total 2 now, this is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. So this is ETH and all the altcoins, essentially the same kind of thing, blood diamond on the 2 week. Now, this could be in somewhat of a Wyckoff, accumulation type thing with the first bottom here, second bottom there, and then we continue down this to make a bit of maybe a little bit of a lower low until later this year, early next year, obviously pre-halvening. And if we come down to that, $400 billion area, a lot of this would be a, let's say, 25, 30%, say a 24% correction from right here, factoring in ETH, factoring the altcoins. You'd probably see Ethereum at 1,200, 1,100, but nothing too crazy. But a lot of these altcoins could really bleed, such as Cardano, Solana, Matic, XRP, all of those. To concur with what CVO was saying, in the more the short term, this is kind of my take on what could happen here. My kind of estimate: 300 weekly moving average is now at about 22K, 21, 22K, which is huge. That's kind of my guess where we could end up. Red September makes a lot of sense here. Also, if you look at this 3 week right here, trigger wave kind of to the downside, very similar to this one over here. This was also, September of 2019. That turned out to be a pretty big correction. This was, let's see, not counting the pandemic, 36% down. If we were to come down that much, that would be pretty bad. I mean, but on the bright side, it's still a higher low if we come down to 18K. My guess is somewhere between 17 to 18K, all the way up to like 22K, 23K is where we will make a higher low, as we did in this bear market right here, and also as we did in this bear market right here. And it all did, it was August 2015 we bottomed out there. That was also about a 36, 37% correction. So the way this 4-year cycle works is it's crazy. It's almost like, too good to be true the way some of these things repeat. So ultimately, as this comes down a bit more, that's what we would be ultimately looking at. The last thing I'll show you really quick here, Bitcoin dominance. And this kind of peaked out in September of 2009. This is where Ethereum bottomed out against Bitcoin. Cardano bottomed out against Bitcoin as well in September 2019. It looks like we got a little bit more, but if you do see a big flush out within the next 4 or 5 weeks or something, 4 to 6 weeks, this could jump up quick to around 55%. See right here, a lot of traffic right here. This is a place where this could ultimately top out. This is where potentially come October, come November, maybe even December, Ethereum and the altcoins could bottom out against Bitcoin. And this is like the prime real estate place to get into altcoins. And I think in terms of people tuning in terms of people getting afraid, I think that's where there's max pain and max fear within the next few months. You just got to survive for the next couple of months, I think. So, yeah.
Dude, that's great analysis right there.
Crusader, can I show my chart real quick? I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but let me go ahead and show my chart here real quick. Here, let me put it. There we go. This is my analysis of the next few weeks. Okay, this is Bitcoin go down. We need to be ready. We need to be prepared. I'm just telling you, we've been talking about this for a long time. The reality is, like, I know CVO doesn't watch the news, but he watches the charts, and he's talking about the price going down. We do watch the news, and the price seems to be going down from.
So let me ask you, Keeper. If we do see that $20,000 Bitcoin or 17,000, like Evan said, right, that price range, and Ethereum of possibly $1,200, would you be an interested buyer as a person that's dollar cost averaging, or would you say I'm gonna wait a little bit longer?
Well, hold on. Are you asking what I would do, or are
I'm
you
asking
asking
you.
what
I'm asking
all
you.
the people
No.
are going to do?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Because
What would you do?
I'm interested in that CME gap for sure. Like that number, shy of that number, I think is beautiful. But candidly, dude, what are we at right now? 26 and some change. We've talked about this a lot. We're gonna look back on this a couple years from now, and we're gonna say, why wasn't I stacking at 26, bro? And I'm probably gonna be one of the people saying it. I mean, I'm serious. I genuinely believe so heavily in where we're headed long term that the fact that I'm not actively, well, for me, it's just the funding right now. I just don't have the extra money to continue to pile in right now.
The broke life's hard, bro.
Yeah, it's tough being broken. So ultimately, but at $20,000, I mean, God, I think people would be crazy. We're not here to give financial advice, but man.
That is it.
Well, advice is don't listen to Keeper.
Not your
But at that
advice,
point,
but also me.
but also,
that's the thing too. Like a lot of times at the bottom, a lot of times people they sell because they have to sell. It's not because they want to sell. So that's because I know a lot of people have just bought the dip on like Cardano and Solana and XRP, every single dip all the way down. That's not the way to go. And then they have no dry powder for the absolute bottom. So you got to be careful with that. That's the main thing.
CVO, you had something you wanted to say?
I was just gonna say, just news, right? So, Magic and I, obviously, he definitely is way better than I am at looking at things in the sense of time. But for me, I've been looking at a potential, like if we're going to see the COVID dump of this, time frame, it's the timing of that would come in like end of September and into October, which is way earlier than I think everybody, when everybody's looking at the old cycle and just kind of like taking fractals, right? And you potentially just put it over and it's like, oh, this time of the year you get this and this time of year you get that. It's the happening next year and we're going to get all these things, which may play out. But timing of like that next turning point, I guess you could say, that I've been looking at personally is in a couple of months. And to me, that could potentially be the, real last, like the high or low, the bottom of the bear market, so to speak, right? Who knows? But what better news to end it on than potentially getting that Rona dump again, man? Like with all the things coming out right now, as far as that goes, and that's a random one, right? But I don't know. That would be very interesting to see two back-to-back, crashes in the market, so to speak, and that be the catalyst of choice. But
Bill Noble has an interesting take too. We haven't had him on in a little while. He's had some stuff that he's doing on his channel and some other places. But ultimately, he always talks about, and I have never really truly been a believer. I always ask him about it because I think it's interesting to hear everybody's different thoughts. I've talked to him a lot about this.
Yeah.
But there's something wild. What is it? A lunar eclipse, or there's some sort of eclipse that's happening in October.
Every time he's mentioned that date, I'm always listening, and I'm like, interesting, because that is right on top of that window. But we'll see.
I mean, have you seen some? I mean, you can't argue with some of the charts. I've seen charts combined with these moon cycles, and it's like scary how good some of them have been. And there's people that actually trade off of these. And if they're actively doing what they're showing on the charts, they've probably done really well. So
Evan, what are we doing wrong, dude?
Is the lunar eclipse bearish or bullish? What's he think? Is it bearish or bullish?
Bearish.
Yeah,
bearish.
Okay.
Like you know how people say like, what's the Mercury's in retrograde or whatever, right? Like I think it's something like that, where it's just going to be some catastrophic, combination of events. You know what I mean?
I will say that
you might be right.
Girl, Maren,
I know you might. Maren Altman.
Yeah, Altman. Yeah, she
whatever happened to her?
She gave 2 dates in 2021 and January, and it was like the May 50% China ban. Basically,
did she hit him?
Oh, she hit him on the head, dude. It was like to the T. It was FTX collapse, and it was or something like that. It was the top of the market and like the midsummer crash or whatever. The 2 dates she gave were like epic days. She obviously didn't know what was going to happen on them, but I was just like, interesting. But yeah, nothing since. Obviously, it's like maybe that was like the 2 out of 1,000 times that even lined up with anything. But yeah, it's a concept for sure. Bill definitely is married to it recently, so
for sure.
I mean, you always got to watch out. Anything could happen, right? We're in this weird matrix of a world. Anything's possible. But talking about dumps, OnlyFans has dumped $20 million into Ethereum. I'll share this guys here with you guys so you can see it. Don't just believe me because I said it. Believe it because the headline says it, right? OnlyFans, $20 million into ETH. How does that make you feel with Ethereum? Right, Ethereum
Horny.
next month.
Good answer.
That wouldn't be my choice of words, but okay. All right. With obviously OnlyFans is seeing that ETH is a buying opportunity, even with a possible $1,200 ETH headed into this next month, or by the end of the year at some point. Companies like OnlyFans, and there's many other companies out there right now that are putting money into crypto. How is this justified in your guys' eyes? Right? Is this a long-term play? Is this a short-term play? When you guys as traders right now seeing this, do you think it's a good time to get into Ethereum? How you guys feeling about Ethereum in general?
You want me to?
Oh, well, Evan, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's typically, like, unless you're Elon Musk, it's always a long-term play. I mean, that's the only one who's done a lot of weird stuff and like sold stuff at a loss. And most institutional investors are not like Elon. Most of them are more like Michael Saylor, which is buy and hold for a long time. So I do think a $1,600 Ethereum, in the grand scheme of things, is a very, very good buying opportunity. I mean, even if we only go up to 3,000, in the next bull run, so it's probably one of the worst case scenarios, 2,000, 3,000 or something bad like that. That's still an excellent, insane, like beating S&P 500 returns, insane investment. So that's really good. From a trading perspective, typically, not always, but typically these type of things are usually a more of the sell the news type thing. It's obviously a risky bet for a company to be putting that much, I would say, into kind of, I forget how many billions OnlyFans.
They got a lot of money. I think.
Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, which is kind of sad.
The CEO got paid like $338 million.
Oh, geez, yeah, it's a much
Just
bigger
the
company
CEO.
than I was thinking.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, it's not something that like I look at and I get like happy seeing that. But
Yeah, that's why Keeper can't buy any crypto.
Been spending it all on OnlyFans. Hope my wife isn't watching.
I remember Cumrocket when that was the big fad. If you guys remember that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
but hold on, let me ask. Let me just interject here real quick. Crusader, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. What do they do? Did they just buy it as an investment, or are they actively going to put it on the because if they're going to use it basically as a liquidity, let's call it a liquidity pool. Let's say that they're going to use it for people to be able to actually start exchanging in ETH on OnlyFans, bro. I'm a fan of it. I mean, no pun intended. I think that's a great idea.
I think they're putting it on their balance sheet.
They're putting it on their balance sheet.
I believe so.
Okay. Well, I think either way, Evan's right. The things could go terribly wrong, and it ends up being a fantastic investment over the next year or two. I totally agree.
It was shown in the company's financial report.
It was in their financial report. Okay, gotcha. CVO, what do you think, bro?
Man, I'm gonna take this to the grave. Dude.
Are you taking the naked short on OnlyFans, or what's up?
Can I go naked long?
You could. That's a better idea. Actually, people tend to like that idea a lot better.
No, I just this is just a very simple. What's the term? I guess so. This was not something fundamentally induced, right? As far as Ethereum goes, it's not something that's like based on their, blockchain, the network, and like that. It's just like a partnership almost type of thing. And like thinking back to even like 2021 or 17, like when the prices were really moving, you had all these like just kind of random news events that led to potentially had some reasoning behind some of the movement, but it was like more so like Evan just said, like a sell the news event. To me, I'm always going to reference back to XRP, dude, with the SEC lawsuit, getting a huge pump, giving it all right back. I wouldn't get wrapped up in it in the sense of being like only up from here, especially when looking at Bitcoin and anticipating potentially that pullback. We're going to have to anticipate the same thing on ETH. In the short term right now, like let's just pretend we get that short squeeze type of idea, right, where we push up. I wouldn't, I see the same scenario in Ethereum basically. Let me say, can I show my screen real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
All right. And you can kind of, pair it with the news if you like. But yeah, so, where we are with, that's it. So ETH definitely took a bigger plunge than I was looking for than on Bitcoin at the time. When Bitcoin, I was eyeballing that 25.9 region that we just kind of went over. I was looking for like 17.20, you know, stuff, things of that nature. So we definitely plunged a little further down on ETH than I was looking for at the time. But overall, you basically just came down to literally the gold pocket here. I'm pretty sure from the low, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, give or take. So literally from the low from last summer all the way to the high, right down to the gold pocket, got a nice little bounce. So from here, and I'll kind of talk on this little area in a second, but it aligns well with Evan, what Evan was saying. I'm going to point out once again the most simple thing, which, like I said, you can't base it off this, but it's just too clean. And I just can see one of these actually playing out, and everybody looking back in like 6 months and being like, oh, there's this extremely obvious head and shoulders. The targets that it does line up with, you know, have some legs. So, you know, looking at something like this, you'd have that measured move once again. And I do not usually, you know, go down the pattern lane, but this one is really clean. Comes right in. We've got a quarterly level all the way back down here for ETH that we left at the beginning of the year. There's a January naked point of control from the beginning of the year also, when we kind of jetted out of this region. So these both have some really nice hit rates as we come down to these regions. It's $1,200, right? So that would be in line with Bitcoin kind of coming down to that like 20 to 23K region. And when you see something like this too, I'm looking for this area back up here, not because of the head and shoulders, but once again, just throwing some confluence, I guess, onto something like this, is that you could potentially see that, you know, that throwback and get that like back test of the trend line before you head down, right? So in this case, it would be something like a short squeeze. What I'm really more targeting is this region anyhow, because we do have our August monthly pivot up here. So this is our average of price. So this is a statistical hit rate of 70% that we're going to come up to this. Obviously, August is just about finished up here. So this one might be one of the outliers that we don't hit during the month. But this is a big region. We've got a weekly level just above it. It's right above $1,900. And then essentially looking at this from a trading idea, right? Once again, if people are piling in shorts at this point, or maybe they piled in shorts right here, you know, stops, if there are any, are going to be right above all these highs. This region comes in right above it. You'd still basically potentially come up and put nothing in, but yet again, just a lower high, right? So when you kind of zoom out, you'd have your high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then we, you know, start making our way down into that region. And that could be over, you know, time. Like even this right here, looking at it, is potentially, if this just came up from, you know, right now, it'd be in the middle of September. You know, maybe we get that turnaround, something like that. So when looking at a news catalyst, I guess I'm bringing this all home with, you know, that if we get this push up now, theoretically, that could be something that goes around with it, or people, you know, kind of back it saying, oh yeah, OnlyFans started pushing ETH and whatever. That sparked the bull run maybe. But yeah, on a technical side, I'm looking for like 19, you know, 20-ish, 1900 to 1920. You know, not overlooking the yearly pivot up here. But yeah, this region comes in, and I'd like to say that now, once again, it's just a super simple gold pocket pull. I'm pretty sure that comes in right there too. It does. So you got the gold pocket, monthly pivot, weekly level. If I start pulling ranges for you here, this is where basically all the volume comes in for August for the developing quarter. And we dropped out of it so fast, you tend to get that fast move right back up, right? The old Bart Simpson pattern. So just a lot of things that kind of line up with that idea. You know, do we get a little push a little bit lower first? That's the question. And I do have a little box mapped out here, which is just the local gold pocket from the current wick down to the move up here. It would come down, take out last week's low, and that does put us at like 1560. And then we'd have the fuel at that point to see that move up. So that's what I'm looking at on ETH news. You know,
ask you real quick.
You might dancing around it, I'm sure.
You might have answered it before, but what is the time frame that you're looking at for that move, whether it's up or to the down, or we're going sideways? Do you see that like happening within the next month or two, or do you see that happening like we could be crawling here for the next 4 or 5 months and we just don't know?
What's today? It's 28th. So generally we see a lot of new data come out at the beginning of the month. So I would say we probably crawl potentially for like 2 or 3 more days, or maybe in the next couple days here, we come down to that little gold pocket I just highlighted at 1550. And then September 1st, or whatever the case is, right? You get all your new data at that point. You get fresh weeklies and monthlies and all the new goodies. Then I think we'd probably get a push up around that time. So potentially like next week or two, we'd know. I mean, a big move is coming out. Like we've once again just been trending like I think the last week's range for Bitcoin was only like 2%. So something big is coming, just like we saw about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited. Whether it's a dump or not, I know a lot of people get fearful, whatever. But even if it's a dump, it'd be great. I'd be so excited to see a $1,200, $1,100 ETH. I mean, not just for a trading opportunity, because I probably would be putting in a long at that point. Obviously, a more of a long-term trade there, just very low, probably spot to probably maybe 2x, if anything, of leverage. But I'd be extremely excited to just dollar cost average some more ETH at $1,200, because if ETH is at $1,200, what's Matic at? What's Solana at? What's all these other altcoins possibly? And the next altcoin we're going to talk about here is XRP. So the BRIC nations have come out. They had their summit. They're looking into alternative currencies. They're trying to use their local currencies. But there is an article here talking about the BRICS launch a multi-currency digital payment system, and Ripple's poised to hit $5, a surge to $5. I want to get you guys' take on that. Do you guys see anything in the chart that can say we're going to go to $5 anytime in the next 6 months?
Dude, Zach Rector's not on here, so I
Hell
mean,
no.
Zach Rector doesn't do TA, bro.
Doesn't matter, dude. If he
Kool-Aid.
says it's going to $5, it's going to $5. Okay,
Just cool. I mean, there's also other news, right? Ripple has a on-demand liquidity is now live in India with $50 billion in remittance over there. So that's also the big news right there. That's what the XRP army's been waiting for this whole time, is on-demand liquidity. Apparently, India going for it first, and they're making a test run at least.
Hey, just real quick, guys. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. I got to take my daughter to swim lessons. So, Crypto Fam, smash the like if you haven't already. Make sure that you're following CVO. Make sure you're following Evan Aldo. And then make sure you are following Danger Close Alpha for Sunday stream at 1 p.m. We're going to be going hard. No pun intended on the OnlyFans thing. Love you guys.
Thanks so much, man. See ya.
Dale, bro. There you go. Keeper clocking out early like every other day. I mean,
yeah.
So let's go with you, Evan. What are you seeing for XRP? Right? We mentioned earlier as well, XRP pumped up to close to $1, not even to $1, and now it gave it all back, and it only took it like maybe 2 years to get to like 90 cents to give it all right back. What happened to the XRP army? Who sold all the XRP when it's going to $5? Easy, possibly even 10K. How are you seeing XRP right now on the chart?
So yeah, I mean XRP right now. So first talk about so let's talk about the good stuff. I mean, short term, this looks pretty good. This would coincide with a lot of what CVO was saying in terms of like you see right here, money flow coming up on market side for B. Great curvature on the 5-hour another trigger wave about to print. We got a good shot at potentially 55 cents, maybe even back up to 57. I mean, not impossible to even come up to, this would be probably Bitcoin at 29K or something. Not impossible to come up to 60 cents here, but I'd be taking profits a lot earlier. So it looks pretty good for the short term. I do like how this looks for the short term. Nice short squeeze, but you could squeeze out a lot of shorts just coming up to like 55 cents here or 57 cents. In terms of the $5 target, 10x, that's an outrageous prediction. And most outrageous predictions don't come true. That's like, that was at the level of the people saying Bitcoin was going to go up to 500K or 600K in the last bull run. I mean,
but Evan, they got $50 billion in on-demand liquidity. I mean, they're going to take over Swift. What do you mean $5 is outrageous?
In the next 6 months? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you know something more about that fundamentals than I know, but I think that's outrageous for the next 6 months. I mean, maybe in the next bull run, sure. The next couple of years, sure. I mean, maybe, okay. Well, so let's get a little bit more bullish here. We have this trend reversal sign that we had kind of on the monthly here. So this is like a really early, different kind of bull run that we would see. So let's say we have kind of an early bull run. Let's do this kind of drop off similar. That brings you up to $2. You could get up to your old all-time high, maybe, if the stars align in the right way and this becomes some type of island. But most likely in the 4-year cycle, in the grand scheme of things, we're either see this pattern, red dot, red X, higher anchor wave. We're more like 2019 over here or over here for potentially, another, let's see, from there to there. you could come down more, man. You could come back up to 60 cents and come right back down another 50% to these general areas. And the thing I really am hesitant on in XRP is, let's just look at what this has done against Bitcoin over, since January of 2018. This has been down 90% against Bitcoin. All right, let's be a little bit more conservative. Okay, let's say that those years weren't too good, but doing this from November of 2020, obviously a great time to buy crypto in general. November of 2020, you're still down 50%, against Bitcoin from there. So on the bright side, though, you do have a trigger wave on the monthly. There are some bullish things against Bitcoin, but be careful. It's just not performed the way I would have hoped, and it is a large market cap for crypto overall. I think there's more opportunity in some smaller caps like Cardano, like Cosmos, like Chainlink. So I like XRP fundamentally, but I don't know if it's going to do, what a lot of people hope it's going to do. You know what I mean?
Dude, I completely agree with you there on your XRP. I was trying to give you a hard time because that's what the XRP likes to do, right? But I completely agree with you. I mean, at least XRP is faster than Bitcoin. It's down 50% against Bitcoin, but at least it's faster than Bitcoin. So we can give it to them. They're saving some money on fees when transferring XRP around. CVO, what are you seeing for XRP? I know you guys have done a lot of analysis on it. Magic's done a lot of analysis on it. When is that thing going to hit zero, bro?
Zero. That's probably not going to go zero, but just taking a look at the last year of price action, which I think this is back into May of 22. We had this really just huge range that we slowly kind of broke out of, back tested, and had a nice push up. And yeah, I won't even claim the credit on this one because Magic totally nailed this one on the harmonic pattern as well as a couple other targets. And one big one for him was 87 cents. Obviously, we ran up to 93. And when you're looking at, just what did we hit? It's kind of hit a little bit of nothing, right? Well, I kind of point out where we went to. But then on the way back down, right, we had came back into this region, lost the high. So many people probably funneled into this area only to give it all right back up, right? So I have this kind of a range on a range here, but you have this whole region, right, where we basically broke out of. You generally come back and get a back test of it, right? We had such a strong move away that it, took a little time to come back. But as you can see here, I got the July range highlighted where point of control for all of July, which included this big move. So the majority of volume took place all the way down here. And we left that area, month close. This was a naked point of control at that point. We had the major quarterly level, had a nice little, slew of targets on the way back down. Come back in, rotated the whole July range, hits the point of control, back test of this old range, then get a bounce. So for me on a trade idea here, I'd like to see us get above that quarterly level. And when I say the quarterly level, you can see it really clearly right here. Look at that wick, boy. So you can see here, right, where we had the low, wick up, wick through, big wick through now. So this is the region we really want to get above and live above. You could argue that essentially a little bit below that, which is 1 cent, so it doesn't really matter too much. But I can see a move back up to potentially this 75-cent region in the short term, which would be a pretty big move. And a couple of things line up here. So one simple, just gold pocket pull, right, from the high to low. So that's the 61.8 to the 65% retrace, right? So this is a classic retraceable area we come back to, which is 65 to 61.8% of this move back up. This would be also basically rotating this range once again. So if I just kind of highlight this, you can see what I mean, right? So we're living within this region. Rotate this range back up to the high. Do have a weekly level up there as well. So there's a good amount, doesn't have to stop there if we were to push up this high and, not necessarily because we have some targets above, but just from where we are now looking for a trade, I can see us getting a move up to here. And this would, kind of coincide with Bitcoin, Ethereum getting those moves up before that inevitable move down, which I think is coming. But, I think everybody's really counting out the alts right now. This would be a 40% move. So just that alone would, once again, do nothing material. All we'd be doing is coming in lower high. It's just classic retrace, right? Filling in a couple of inefficiencies in the market and then looking to see if we get through it or not, right? This would be the next region you really want to pay attention to. And it is right at 75 cents.
But
Um,
if Bitcoin dumps, right, we're in the sideways thing. If Bitcoin dumps right now, then XRP dumping from here is
I
like,
mean, if Bitcoin dumps from just where we are now, I mean,
yeah,
just it's classic. Everything's going to double it as far as altcoins would go, right? So, I mean, if we're going to see 20 and 30% move out of Bitcoin to the downside, I guess, we probably just rotate this range once again. So, that is something to be aware of as well, right? So that's always of note. And, this is kind of what Chainlink has been doing for ever. So I've been looking at Chainlink and just not to get off on a random tangent, but we've got the same range set up here as XRP for over the last year, except for we haven't had that breakout yet. And all it does is you get to these regions and you just get a full retrace, right? So it is possible, and I would say that it would probably go back down to that low side. But at the moment, like I said, I am kind of looking for a potential move up. And kind of get that bounce. And I think that while I think everybody's overly bearish at the moment, like short term, which, move up out of a couple things would really catch everybody off guard. So I don't know. That's just what I'm looking at. Obviously, like I'm not married to anything, so I really wouldn't even be looking at XRP until we start living back above 55 cents, which doesn't seem like a lot. That's only 3 cents, but as you can see, we've lived quite a ways away from it over the last week and a half.
yeah, dude. I'm definitely interested to see what happens here throughout the next couple of weeks to the beginning of September. See if we do have that move up or we have that move down. I mean, I would love to see XRP down to like 15 cents just so that Keeper can start sweating a little bit with his position. I mean,
That's Cardano, 15 cents.
what do you guys think about Cardano? Cardano's down at like 26 cents right now. Where do you guys have any targets for Cardano to the upside or downside, depending where Bitcoin takes it?
So yeah, I'll show you, man, my Cardano chart. Let's see right here. I mean, it's interesting. I'll start with kind of a macro thing here. I mean, this is kind of like, I think a few people were looking at the depression the bubble psychology chart, and it's like right here as you come up, this is the anger phase, and then you kind of enter the depression phase on the last kind of ways down. And then what I like to look at Cardano here is like on this 2-week, what I'm really looking at is potentially this VWAP to come up and this to turn around and give us a nice bullish div in a month or two. So I do think if we break down from essentially real simple TA, I mean, from this place we've been bouncing around, you break down here, go down below the area, that's 17 cents. Where could we latch on to? Around that 14, 15 cent area is going to be huge for Cardano. Now, how down is that from where we are right now? Potentially 40 to 50%, which is where I think a lot of altcoins could potentially go down in the next few months. If Bitcoin goes down to the high teens, low 20s, that would make the most sense right now. And I think that's probably the most obvious path. In terms of the short term for Cardano, like XRP, definitely not looking bad by any means on the very short term here. And I don't think we're going to do, oops, where was I trying to? Yeah, that's right. Select that. And then, I think there's a good shot. Like, I don't think we're going to really have a crazy short squeeze, but short term, you might be able to get up to 27 cents. I mean, maybe even back up to 29 or retest at 30 cents. Maybe I would be more inclined to take some risk off the table at that fib level 27.7, 27.7, which is a really good area. But after that, I'm just not seeing enough enough upside potential here. And when I look at high time frames, I really want to see on that 2-week and on that 3-week potential bull dip on that 3-week, which we're not there quite yet. Lastly, I kind of want to see on that 3-week. I mean, see these Heikin-Ashi candles. The next one that turns green, I think, could be what we're really looking for, especially on the monthly here, because this was your false kind of bottom in December. You came up and then you're coming back down. The next one that turns green, maybe a couple months, we see the next one that turns green. And then that's where we really start to outperform Bitcoin, come down to 13, 14, 15 cents. That's a 20x to the old all-time high. That's potential for big gains. So just keep that in mind.
Dude, that's huge. 14 cent ETH. I mean, ADA
Cardano.
would be huge. Yeah. Yes, huge for sure, dude. CVO, do you agree with that? Do you see something different? What are you seeing for ADA? And then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I agree for that one. And then I was actually I saw somebody ask for DOT in the chat, so I was just going to take a look at that real quick. Let's get a couple of separates here. So Dot, I've really had this higher time frame range, paying attention to it for a while. But once again, it's one of those like if then situations that you kind of have to manage, while you're below it. So looking at the current region that we're in right now, you really want to see this area held, and it kind of goes back and forth, right? When you're looking at the market in the sense of like, all right, are we looking for a dump out of Bitcoin? What is that going to mean for the alts and all these things? And it's definitely going to mean bad news for the alts, right? Like if we're going to see any kind of drop down, it's probably going to be 20-30% across the board. However, a lot of things are at some supports right now. So once again, getting into the idea where maybe we see a little bit of a short squeeze, and a push higher, whether that's just over, maybe the first week of September or something like that. What are some things that you really want to look for? And for me, Dot's been kind of bouncing around these regions here. We got a lot of lows that, wouldn't be out of the ordinary to actually kind of dip below this and then come back up. So that's like right at like 425, right? So kind of take the liquidity, I guess, for lack of a better term, below us. But other than that, you do have us sitting right at a quarterly value area low, right? So on a spot move, no leverage, just something that, potentially you're looking to, hold for a few weeks, months. Looking to see if we rotate this region here, very small move at that point, looking to get back into the old range that's above us. And with that being said, there's an old point of control that we left behind from like a year ago. We've got a bunch of things that line up here. This would be a mega move to come all the way back up to this here, like 200%. So not necessarily saying that that's going to happen, but to get a push back up to like $6 to $7, and then potentially a move into like 9 or 10 would be a big target of mine short term, and then really kind of keeping that eye on Bitcoin and everything. So definitely at a place where, we're at a risk of the market kind of like losing these, supports and just dumping lower. But if you're, able to put on some risk, once again, like on a just spot move, even just to get back up to the val, right, to the range low, that's a 50% move potentially. Take some off the table, pay yourself a little bit. You got a potential like 100% move. And, we might not even see that. Maybe we just come back up, we hit our head on the val once again, and we take a dump, right? But that's kind of how I'd kind of manage this, and really look to see if we get back inside and start living back above 665 for the next leg up basically. So potentially we get a little rotation here, 20, 30, 40, 50% is, not out of the cards. We've seen it, time and time again. Once again, this could be nothing material, right? High, low, lower, high, so on and so forth. Come up, put in a lower high, and then take a move down. But these are definitely some major areas that have some alerts on for targets. And one is 665. This quarterly is really nothing at this point. And then $10. And that seems like an outrageous number at the moment. But like I said, it's just something to be aware of. And we all know how fast crypto can move. So.
Dude, I completely agree. That is huge. Just on spot itself, just 50%, just going all the way up to that'd be a great trade with, some risk involved for sure. That's great. I mean, I'm seeing the chat here. People talking about the SEC targeting companies with NFTs and their own coin or whatever. Yeah, I saw some news about that. Saw some, I believe it was some media company or somebody out there in Los Angeles that got targeted. And they're settling with the SEC. That's why you can't be buying into these NFT pump and dumps that are promising you all these gains, and they're telling you they're gonna make all this money. That's not what NFTs are about, right? NFTs are about building community, building an effort of group of like-minded individuals, kind of like joining a club and just hanging out and doing things together. But it's not about making all these promises of money and gains. That's how you get hit with securities and all this other stuff. So people out there with the NFT market, it's probably going to get a little rougher before it gets better. But I'm sure the NFTs will come back in the next bull market. I know it's a little bit off topic, but just wanted to address that a little bit. So guys, I appreciate you guys coming on the show every single Monday and Thursdays sometimes. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort of bringing great, amazing information. So if you guys are not following CVO or Evan just yet, their links are down below in the description of the video. Go follow their YouTube channels. Go follow them on Twitter. These guys bring you amazing information for free every single Monday on this channel. So give them some love and go follow them, guys. Any final words for the people before we close out? Evan.
Oh man, just be a little bit more patient with the alts, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I'm personally not buying any crypto at the moment, but I have a lot of Bitcoin already. So yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who's really light, I think in the grand scheme of things, not a bad time to buy, but most likely, if history repeats, there will be better times to get in at least altcoins in the next few months. Bitcoin, I still think Bitcoin has some time to outperform ETH and altcoins. So that's the most important thing. Right now, as always, don't FOMO. DCA is usually the best strategy. So, yeah.
That's right. I agree. CVO, what about you?
Just getting into the end of the year, oddly enough, as we come into it. So I think the volatility is coming. It's definitely been coming in bursts and kind of getting stretched out in between. But I agree with Evan as far as the altcoins. I think that when you really look around, I mean, they've been beaten down. So I mean, if anybody's like holding at this point, I guess can't get any worse in a sense. Granted, I mean, I know it always can, but I will say that when you look around, everybody is, ready to count out the alts. It's potentially been that way for a few months even, but I think that as far as timing goes, I think that we are getting to a point where, we will see some gradual moves here. So even if that means you have the opportunities to, get a nice 40-50% bounce, take some off the table, potentially, able to scale back in at a lower price, increase your holdings at least. Maybe you're not winning back, what you got into if you bought in at, the highs essentially. But, XRP is a good example for me. I eventually started just trying to capitalize on any kind of pumps, bought back in lower, looking for like gold pockets or any kind of a retrace. Or if I ended up like missing that move, there was always something else that took a beating that I just kind of started moving my, funds around into. I guess the number one thing that everybody gets really wrapped up into in crypto is the ever-loving fear of missing that move after holding for so long, right? So it is scary to like move your funds around at a certain point, but at some point you got to kind of rip the Band-Aid and just kind of make a strategy around it. So yeah, I think that good times are coming. I know it's been boring, and it is probably the peak bore at this point. We probably got 50 people in here that are probably the same 50 people that watch Evan, that watch me, that go to watch whoever else. It's just the same 50, 60 people in the market right now. So I think that some excitement is bound to happen here soon.
Yeah, but those 50, 60 people are going to be the people that succeed, right? Because they're the ones that stuck out throughout the bear markets. They're the ones that were learning. They're the ones that were accumulating. They're the ones that were learning how to trade, whatever it was. They're the ones positioning themselves for the next bull market, not the people that are going to jump in at the last minute, at the peak of FOMO in the next bull market. Those people are going to get wrecked. So, love to everybody that's out here right now, the same 50 people every single day watching the show and all the other shows. You guys are going to definitely make it. Keep on positioning yourselves. I agree. We're at peak bore. We are, but I also believe we are closer to the end of the bear market than we are at the beginning of the bear market. So, like you said, better times are coming. If you're the trader, make the best trades possible with the least amount of risk possible. If you're a dollar cost averaging person like me, dollar cost average when you can. I spent many years on underwater. My portfolio was underwater for at least 2 to 3 years, and I was just dollar cost averaging, and it was about just making my portfolio bigger and bigger, because when it came back, it was going to benefit me, right? Because I wasn't buying crazy altcoins that like Pepe and all these meme coins and all these random tokens out there because they just hit a 1 penny, I'd be rich. No, I was trying to buy the least amount of risk possible, a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of Ethereum, and a few other top 20 coins, ADA and all this stuff. But obviously that's not financial advice for you guys. I'm just telling you what I did and what I will continue to be doing, right? I'm trying to learn how to trade, but that I'm not depending on that to be my entire portfolio. My majority of my portfolio is dollar cost averaging. I am waiting, like somebody said in the chat, for Rectember, right? Hopefully Rectember comes in, drops the prices heavily. I will be buying at those low prices, because I also believe that we're not going to see these low prices forever. So if we can go a little bit lower to that 20K, 17K for Bitcoin, $1,200 to $1,100 Ethereum, that would be great. I would definitely be an interested buyer at that point. Dollar cost average, and then ride it in the next bull market. If it works out, it does it. If it doesn't, well, it is what it is. You can't make money unless you risk some money. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you once again. Appreciate both of you guys coming on, spending an entire hour every single Monday here, sharing this great information. And my final words to you guys are always question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, HODL like it's hot. See you guys.
Thanks so much.